Another installment of Nygaard at the net with USC men's volleyball coach Jeff Nygaard. Fight on.
Yes.
Coming off a tough loss to BYU, one of the better teams in the MPSF, but in your eyes, that first set, very close. You were ahead through most of it. Second and third sets, they really did a good job pulling away. What were some of the differences there?
Well, in the first set, I don't think that they were clicking on all cylinders yet. I think they were still acclimating a little bit to what they usually have to go through, which is high altitude, low altitude. Secondly, I think on our side of the net, we were being intelligent with the ball far more than we did as things progressed, because we, in an adverse situation, decided to put the ball into play and put them into trouble, and then we were able to capitalize it when we had a better opportunity. So we did that pretty well. Come game 2 and 3, they started taking us a little bit out of the rhythm as they got a little bit more into the rhythm. They were serving tougher, they were varying their spots. People got a little less comfortable on our side of the net, and so we started taking a few bit more risky attempts at the hit. And they're just a great blocking team. What are they, number 2 in the nation? So they're a good team. So that's what good teams can do, is they ramp up the pressure as the game goes on. I felt we still had opportunities to win game 1. Had that happened, I think game 2 would have been a little closer, a little tighter. And we've seen our team have the ability to be a team that can take down anybody any given night. So there's no such thing as a match that I've ever looked at and says, well, we have no chance, because I thought if we were executing the game plan consistently, we would have had a pretty good result.
Consistency is one thing we've touched on. Another topic we've addressed is limiting the other team's better players. And in that case, Jake Langlois had an outstanding match. There's a reason these guys are tremendous players, but what can you do, what can the team do to try to limit a guy like that? How do you even go about doing that?
That's a great question. I have a recollection of playing on the national team, and I played with a guy named Bob Stavertlik. And we played in this long tournament. It was 11 matches in 13 days. And we would do our team game plan, but then he and another guy on the team would take all the video equipment, go to their room, and they would come up with a second one where they were like, this is where we need to stand on this guy on this attack. This is where we need to be here, here, here. The overarching thing was that, number one, Bob actually got the best defender of the tournament. But secondly, I would be matched up against a guy against Brazil who was hitting over me from the back row, which I'd never seen before, and I had clearly had no chance at stopping him. But then what I started noticing, Bob and I had this conversation, is that everywhere I was, he would just hit over me. And so we quickly came up with it. Listen, don't reach for it. That's a waste of time. But you need to stand directly behind where I am, because that's where he's hitting the ball. He's looking for me to hit the ball to go over me. And then Bob just dug him every single opportunity. So when I look at a Jake Langlois, I see a guy who, he's an All-American. And there's a reason for that. It's because he's a high-level player. He does a lot of great things. He's physically gifted. He's tall. So good player. But that doesn't mean that you can't coordinate front row, back row, and get some consistent touches, get some consistent opportunities. He's going to get kills. It's not a question of stopping him. It's a question of controlling him to the point where when you have the opportunity to make a real nice dig in a good position, good read, maybe even a good block, you scoop up the short ones, you have to execute those every single time. So you're chipping away. Over the course of that match, we started off doing exactly what we wanted to, but then other things got a little bit loose where we had an overpass that we didn't terminate, a couple blocking assignments that we allowed ourselves to lose focus on, and then he just gained more and more momentum, even though we still had opportunities.
Now a week similar to what we went through in late January, you have Stanford and Pepperdine, this time at home. Different circumstances now. You have Lucas Yoder back in the lineup. You didn't have him against Stanford.
Correct.
That was a close 3-set loss, but each set was pretty tight. And then Pepperdine, you lost in 5. What do you take from those past experiences now, having just played these 2 top 10 teams, to this week at home?
We've demonstrated that we have high-level ability in our gym. We've demonstrated that we can go up against a top 5 team and come out victorious. As you're saying, we've competed against these guys, so we've seen what they can do. So, again, the onus is on us to make sure that we are executing our side of the net. We could always serve a little bit tougher. We could always run a little bit more in system. We could always push a little bit more. But I like the look of how this second half of the season is going to go, because we've made some monster gains across the board in everything we're trying to do. So now it's a question of putting it together in a consistent fashion so that we are executing these plays. We're recognizing things. We've done a ton of video with the guys. We are learning on a daily basis. Nobody in our gym has gotten worse at volleyball. Everyone is increasing their ability, mental volleyball IQ, spatial awareness, knowing how to execute, knowing what it takes to be consistently physical at the net, defensively, expanding your range. So we're getting the piece of the puzzle as best we can, and now we got to go out and make it happen.
Well, that'll do it for this week's installment of Nygaard at the Net. You have Stanford Thursday night, Pepperdine Saturday night, a couple of top 10 teams, so come on out to Galen Center and see some entertaining volleyball.
And fight on.
Until next week, fight on.